It's the Defiant Ones here backstage at Washington Hall, a historic venue, and we are at Defy Here and Now, and we are talking right now with Axel Tischer from SANITY. He is one half of the Progress Tag Team Champions, SANITY. Welcome to Defy. This is your first time here in Seattle for Defy, is that right?
The first time for Defy, yeah. I've wrestled here before. I think it was one of the either or SmackDown or NXT loops.
Yep.
But for me, the first time here for Defy as an independent worker, and I'm super hyped. I'm super excited to be here.
That's awesome. What's your vibes like? What kind of vibe are you getting
It's insane. Just the building is lovely.
Yeah.
I'm a local promoter myself in Germany, so I'm always looking for like great venues. This venue is perfect.
Yeah.
Right. It's very nice. It's clean. It's like the space is nice. The ring fits in perfectly.
Yeah.
But I was at the merch table,
Yeah.
and then I hear the people came unglued.
Yeah.
The energy in the room, you can feel it right away. People are here because they love wrestling. I love wrestling. And the first impression is always the important one. And the first impression was not using beyond. It was Defiant good.
Yes.
Like, definitely good. So I'm super excited just to, just get into the ring and feel that energy from the stage.
Yeah. So you're from Dresden, Germany, or you live in Dresden, Germany. Where are you from originally?
Dresden, Germany.
Okay,
Born and
raised. Let's take it back. You're a big guy. What was little Axel like? What were you into when you were a little kid?
Just everything. Because so we talked before. So I'm from East Germany. So for all like the history marks out there. So East Germany, when the wall was still in Germany and it was divided East and West, Cold War, etc., etc. The Iron Curtain. I was born in the DDR, so still on the Russian influence side, Soviet Union. The wall came down, I was 3, and then the aftermath after DDR.
Yeah.
So, and just growing up there, it's just basically quite an old town, very historic town. You still had some destroyed buildings from the World War II and stuff like this. Just, it felt a little bit like the Wild West because there was no such thing as technology, advanced stuff.
Sure.
Like we had like the phone at home, right? Just spin the wheel. But then it's kind of getting cable television. I think around the beginning of the 90s. And at that point, everybody started watching WWF because now it was broadcast in East Germany. Everybody, what is this, right?
Yeah.
Before that, you were not allowed just to listen to Westernized music, American English-speaking music. Everything was German or Russian, right? So it was pretty new and it was exciting. And I was around 5 or 6, and I kind of like didn't want to go to sleep, as my parents told me. They watched wrestling, and I just sneaked out and just hid behind the curtain and just watching wrestling as well. And it was fascinating from the beginning because I am a big fan of comics still to this day. And not so much anymore as I was a teenager and as I was a child, but I loved watching Turtles, He-Man, and all like the great animes. Maybe some of you guys know Saber Rider and stuff like that.
Okay.
So it's like good old anime, not this new age.
Sure.
So, but basically because of that, I saw wrestling was like an anime came true, like true life.
Yeah.
I remember guys like Warrior, Hogan, like one of my first favorite wrestlers were Bret Hart and The Undertaker.
Yeah.
My first pay-per-view I remember was WrestleMania 9.
Yes.
Not everybody's favorite, I know, but
Bret Hart, Hulk Hogan, Yokozuna.
Yes, that Bret Hart match against Yokozuna still to this day holds up like expectations for me just watching good wrestling. And again, not everybody's cup of tea, but for my childhood memory, I still love this pay-per-view. And in general, it just became a wrestling fan, and then just growing up and did not have the time to watch it anymore because it got broadcast very late. I just picked it up around 2000 and I was 13 years old and I felt again in love with wrestling. But this time, a little bit different. This time I had the chance to start with the training, and I started training with 13.
At 13 years old?
Yeah, I had my first match at 14.
Wow.
Not a big promotion at that time.
Yeah.
The glory of professional wrestling in Germany was a little bit, down, low.
Yeah, sure.
Like for all the wrestling fans, they probably have heard of the tournaments, the weekly tournaments they had there with loads of the guys in there, and even like guys who still you see on TV like Rhino or Chris Jericho had made their first steps there, and just David Finlay, Regal, all like the British greats just competed there. That was kind of like the epitome of wrestling in Germany.
Wow.
But then the business went down, and then smaller promotion, let's say not so professional promotion, some untrained guys, some half-trained guys kind of like figured out how to get trained, trained others, brought the knowledge to the schools, etc., and just, you know, planted the seeds. And I was one of the guys who kind of stood with it. Probably just messed a lot of stuff up in my past, like school and work and whatever, just for the sake of just becoming a professional wrestler.
Obviously, it worked out somehow, right?
Yeah, luckily, like I'm a blessed person, so it worked out for me in a good way. I would never recommend it to even my son. I would just kind of like tell him I was lucky. Yeah, maybe you're not. So how about take it serious? But yeah, it was a big gamble, but like for me, it was a no-brainer just to put all my chips on wrestling career and everything. So, and yeah, so far so good.
So 13 years old. In Germany, do you need to get your parents' permission, sign documents, things like that? Okay.
So the funny thing was my father was a former amateur wrestler in the DDR. And because of political reason, right, they took his license away. So he couldn't fulfill that. So he went to soccer, football, or like soccer.
But he was an athlete, obviously. He
was an athlete, but like it was never on a professional level. It's more like a semi-professional, like a hobby level. So nothing he made really money with. But like the seeds are there, right? So and I started also playing soccer, just as every German kid probably. You grow up with that. Europe in general, like, is full with soccer, especially Germany.
It's like little kids in baseball here. Everyone does
exactly, or American football, stuff like that. So I started with soccer, but I liked it. I played it a lot, but then, like in a short story, I was never good in playing on the field, always in practice. So because I had my freedom with it, and then also I did not understand the business of it because my favorite club, the traded players, I didn't like that, yada yada yada, and then wrestling came back. So right away, wrestling, number one, fuck football, right? Fuck soccer, and then let's go to the wrestling part. But my parents were not happy in that because they were not sure if I could harm myself with that. Rightfully so, because 13, still growing and everything. But in the end, it was fine because my father was kind of like, he stick to it because he was a little bit mad about me not sticking fully to soccer, was a little bit, you know, not really fully into it, like here and there, and just playing around, but not really going for it. But then he saw me being very passionate about wrestling, and he's also one of the reasons why I'm here. So first years, you don't make any money, not at all, not even gas money. So he drove me to shows. He made sure I come back home. He made sure I am settled with food and drinks. So he took care of me, and he supported me, and he saw himself a little bit in me. Awesome. So in a lot of things, I'm here because of the support of my parents, especially from my father.
Absolutely. So 13 years old, when you start training then, when was your first match?
14.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first thing was a rumble, just in something out again. But then I had a tag team match, and then it was also the year after that. So probably 2001 was my first match. Around February was a rumble, and then I think mid of the year something. But I wouldn't consider like really the first match because obviously I did not want to do, and I didn't look anyway like a wrestler. I was basically like a guy who would move your furniture from A to B.
String bean or something?
Yeah, no, it's like just a crew neck, cool pattern on it, looked great. Probably what the handball guys used to wear when they're goalkeepers, and like had some sneakers on with just the glowy stuff on it, you know, like the silver which shines, and some shorts because the Ravenflock was cool, like stuff like that. But 2006, I remember I served at the German army, and I had kind of like a training something in Berlin. And in Berlin, there's like it's a huge town, and there's also a professional wrestling school still to this day. It's called GWF, German Wrestling Federation. And they had a show at that time when I was staged based there at the military base. So went to the show, got in contact, and the week after I went to a first training session. And for me in that time, it was cool because I made enough money with the salary from the army. I could afford a car, I could afford the gasoline. So on the free weekends, I was driving from Dresden to Berlin, around 2 hours, up for 2 hours training, got my ass kicked, drove back, chilled, and then went back to the military. And then I had like the choice of continue doing military work, like getting higher ranks, probably some adventures in Afghanistan, thankfully not, and then or just continue with becoming a professional wrestler. So I choose obviously the wrestling route, and went a couple times a week just from Dresden to Berlin, just for training. Invested a lot of money in gasoline myself, and it didn't hurt myself. Vice versa, it just paid off really. I just had like from 2 years experience working in France, a lot of things. So in my rookie years, my first matches were in front of thousands of people because France was a really big business. So the highest number was 9,000 people in the arena.
We just saw that on WWE Backlash. Huge France fans.
France is awesome. Like back in the day, because they kind of like really believed in it. Yeah. And a lot of times you had like different locker rooms. You have one for the good guys, for the bad guys. Yeah. And
so they were invested.
You haven't seen each other before, like in the ring. That's it.
Wow.
And the challenge in that was that, first of all, different language, also different culture, and even the French people speak English. They don't speak English because they're French, I guess. Yeah. And so you have to figure out how to wrestle basically with somebody who is not really good trained, but who's extreme heavy and stiff, and so you learn the work there, of course. And then just from there on, just, the ball was rolling, just opportunities here and there, just became a fixed member for WXW, biggest company in Europe. Yes. And then, of course, also in Germany, and then, try out.
Awesome. So who, you grew into the industry of wrestling alongside some great wrestlers, and I'm sure you locked up with some people that were coming through Germany on tour. Yeah. Who were some people that you really learned from?
Oh, there's a lot of people, but one particular, because I recently watched a match from him from around 2005, I guess, Eddie Edwards. Yeah. So he basically, he specifically, but all of them, they always gave me a little bit some, let's call it like bits and pieces on how they put the matches together. Cool. And they've been very generous because, like, if you're an indie wrestler, you come to a foreign country and you do not know anybody really. And sometimes you go there and one of the guys, he's maybe one of the bigger stars at the promotion, but you don't know him because it's different continent, different land, whatever, right? Different country, I mean. But then he was very trustworthy, and you can feel that if you talk with a guy you don't know, you can tell by talking with him about wrestling, talking with him about the match, how he puts his stuff in, how much experience he had. Yeah. And I think he got the good vibes from me, so he trusted me a little bit more. He wanted to have like a good match. And the German fans are always happy if they see somebody, for example, from the United States, or somebody they have seen on television or on the internet or at that time on DVD, right? So he was a household name. Yeah. I think in that time he was also RH or a heavyweight champion at that time. So, but he was very giving, and he was also very, let's say, in a good way, snug with me. And in Germany, we love to be a little bit more hands on deck, if that makes sense. Yeah. So
lay it in.
Yeah, I got taught lay it in because, you would expose the business if not, right? A lot of people, they're watching very close. And then if you don't know how to do it without laying it in, or let's say you wrestle with friends, you lay it even more in, right? But he was, good chops and everything, etc., but I grew up in an environment where you had to stand your ground a lot, and then I got taught also in a very hard way where you got hit a lot and just take a lot of bumps. So just to make you adaptable to the pain you feel in the ring, right? And Eddie Edwards was one of the guys, he kind of like bettered me so much, he brought out the best of me, because I'm always thriving on if it gets a little bit more rowdy, right? So I had 2 matches with him, but in those 2 matches, even differently, I learned a lot. But it's like a lot of guys I met over the time. Also, one big influence, and I had this twice, was Fit Finlay. So 2011, WCW brought Fit Finlay over, and they had him there for a seminar, and I was participating on the seminar, and it was for me, I just learned wrestling new from the beginning, because you think you know something, and then he explains it to you, and I don't know anything, right? So empty your head, put it in there, be like a sponge, and he kind of like reinvented it for me. So the stuff he taught me, I kind of mixed it up with the stuff I learned, and then became a better performer.
Cool.
And then I had it again at WWE, where I had also the chance to train with him under the NXT umbrella. Yeah. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
But the list is long.
Yes. So obviously, Sanity was born in WWE and NXT. What was, we don't have to go super into the WWE NXT experience, but like, what are some things that you really, positive memories and things that you learned from your time in WWE?
So I think the most important thing, what I have learned, is there are times for business and there's times for personal things, and wrestling should get treated as a business, and also you should thinking business. That means don't take anything personal. If you have to lose, if you have to maybe win, if you are the guy who taking the bumps, if you're not the guy taking the bumps, anything is made up by a script. So you have to follow protocol. If you're there for a reason, you're there for a reason. You should not be jealous about anybody else because they have the spot, because maybe they have a certain look, or maybe they can do certain things in a ring. So never take anything personal. And a lot of times I had to learn that in a way of like, I don't know, like silly stuff, like being like jealous or something, and that will eat you up. So I learned, don't take anything personal. If it's in the wrestling ring, in the wrestling bubble, everything is business. Yeah. Outside of that, or if anything, it never happens really, but if somebody gets personal to you in a very private way or whatever, I don't know if it's a heat or I don't know, something backstage, you try to handle it professional. If it gets too personal, you take it outside the door if you want to, but never take anything personal. If somebody cuts a promo on you, or even nowadays a lot of the guys use Twitter just to start up some Twitter beef, which I think is ridiculous, then it's all a show, right? Nobody's real in that business. But also what I really cherish forever is like the brotherhood, especially the NXT era where I was in. Everybody worked for each other. Everybody worked for the brand. Everybody worked to make it better for everybody. So everybody worked towards the main event, because those are the guys who draw, right? Those are the different champions. So they make the contestants, the contestants make the champions. It's all like the effort. It's not that the second match tries to steal the show because it thinks it belongs to the main event. So it was
a team atmosphere,
team effort, right? So it's like they brought out like, we are NXT, because we knew we want to work towards that and want to make it kind of hard to follow, even for the guys at the main roster. And then up there, the main roster was the professionalism of working, right? So you need to be on time, because otherwise they take time away from the match after. If you take time away from the main event, it's not cool, because again, people come for the main event, right? They pay their hard-earned money because they want to see the main eventers at that time. If you're not the main eventer, stick to your time. If you cannot stick to your time, you have to learn it. Like, so everything, like from the brotherhood till the don't take anything personal, everything is business tool. You have to be professional.
Interesting. Obviously in that time, you were teamed up with Damo. Did you know Damo from, Europe and stuff?
I knew him before. So basically before I left, we met again. We met a couple times at WXW, but before I left, we talked again. It was in Hamburg, Germany. And I remember we talked about upcoming tryouts, because he had one tryout, and he kind of like had a little bit like the hard time, because they really put you through a drill, and they put you really through a hard workout. So you have to kind of weather the storm there. And I just gave him some, talked with him about my experience and everything. I was already signed, like got the contract signed, so it was my farewell tour basically.
Yeah. Okay.
And we connected even more there.
Yeah.
And then he got hired as well.
Yeah.
And then he replaced Sawyer. He got unfortunately injured.
Yeah.
He replaced Sawyer in Sanity.
Yeah.
And Nikki Cross, his real life wife.
Yeah.
Now wife. She was already one part of it, so it was a no-brainer because I became very good friends with Nikki, and then her husband, also now one of my best friends, but this time a very like person, just became also part of Sanity. And then you can imagine the tours. You know, we had a lot of fun, a lot of laughs.
You guys all have similar senses of humor and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's
That's
like
awesome.
different because like EY is like was like the veteran guy, but like he's very dry humorish and like his experience in there. And Nikki is a nutshell. Damo is very funny, and I'm also very funny in my ways. Different nationalities, right? And it's just like a colorful mix of personalities just in a car together and just writing.
That's fun. So now that Sanity's back, and you guys are, you know, Progress champions, what's it been like wrestling in Progress again?
It's nice though, because Progress was one of the promotions I really want to wrestle after WWE, and it was possible that like Walter helped me out, just, you know, building the bridge to Progress. And
Gunther,
Gunther, Walter, potato.
Yeah, exactly.
I always have to think about the SpongeBob meme.
I know,
What is your name? Walter? Gunther. So he helped me out just building up the contact, and since then we have a great working relationship. And now it's like the best thing happened ever. Like I not only have the chance just to work for Progress, also have the chance to work for Progress in kind of the Sanity matters, right, with Damo together. So it's
awesome.
As you said, we're tag team champions now. We want to take that title to the next level.
That's awesome. So just some random questions for you, man. Music wise, what kind of stuff are you into?
I'm a hardcore kid. So
really,
one of my favorite bands is like Stick to Your Guns and Stray from the Path.
Okay.
Also, Terror is like an evergreen. Really, like if you like that music, check out Guilt Trip. They're from Manchester.
Awesome.
It's really sick. A lot of like different bands. Like a very good friend of mine, he plays in Walls of Concrete. That's like an East German band. They're very popular in France as well. I like to go to the mosh pit. That's where the Sanity character just is kind of like mixing in, right? Yeah. I like to go to the pit, violent dancing, just cardio, you know, just
I went to an amazing hardcore record store in Berlin called Cortex. Cortex Records in Berlin. They had a great hardcore collection in there.
This is a great guy. There's also like punk music in there.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. No, it's just in general, like that's my music, but also a lot of like hip hop. Yeah. Like sometimes for working out, a lot of like Christian hip hop worship stuff.
Okay.
That's right now is my tune. And in general, I like music besides German's Schlager music. That's the shits. Don't listen to the crap. It's like really like ridiculous. So there's an island in Spain. It's called Mallorca. Yeah. And Mallorca is kind of like Germanized because a lot of like holiday trips there. Yeah. But like from the people who just drink. And the music is so stubborn and so easy and stupid. They make so much money with it, but it's just you getting hammered and it's just like I can't. No, not my cup of tea.
What's the craziest mosh pit you've ever been in?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say also one of my favorite bands, The Ghost Inside. It's the last one I was in, but it was insane from the crowd, right? From the violence part, I think it was one of the smaller ones where you really had like guys like just going bananas in there. Probably left with nose bleeding / mouth bleeding, something, you know, some bumps and bruises, some Charlie horses in the side. Yeah. It's like the funny thing is if somebody watched this and he doesn't understand, so you think, oh my God, they hate each other, but the artists did not hate each other. Yeah. But if you hit somebody, I mean, you know, it's what it is. You know, get in or get out, kind of. But yeah, I think that. Oh, of course, Hatebreed. Yeah. And Hatebreed, Hatebreed is always like the thing every time when I went to a Hatebreed concert, every time the same thing happens. You would have a bigger guy, probably a little bit more like, you know, a little bit more full.
Big guy, yeah.
A big guy comes in, he gets peppered from other guys, probably.
Yeah.
And he gets mad and he starts a real fight. But he gets taken down, gets pounded, and then in the end he gets like thrown out by securities. And I swear, every time when I went there, like different altercations in a venue, in a sand pit, on a mosh pit, on like Stone Crown, on the airport or whatever, it's like Vans Raptors stuff. Yeah. Every time it happens the same, but Hatebreed is probably the most brutal one because, Hatebreed is Hatebreed.
Like clockwork.
Yeah.
Amazing. I love Hatebreed too, and I'm actually going to go see them. They're going to play with Carcass and Hatebreed. That's going to be a great show. And Harm's Way, that's going to be a really good show. All right, man. Last question for you. Pick a scar on your body. Show us if you can, but at least tell us the story of how you got the scar. It doesn't have to be wrestling related.
Easy. Right here?
Right here?
That scar?
Can we show the camera right here? Yeah. How'd you get that?
First ever War Games match in WWE.
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of like my badge of honor.
Yeah.
In that case, it's kind of for the Brazilians probably the cauliflower ear. We had the War Games match, the first ever in NXT, SANITY, Undisputed Era against AVP and Roderick Strong, and we planned the German suplex from the third row through 2 tables. And that was happened. Hit my head there, bled like a pig. Didn't feel anything. Got stabled because they had to close the wound. I got stabled through the cage because they couldn't lock up the cage because they ate the key.
Oh my god!
So nobody had the key for the lock. They had to get like the gimmick. Basically got stabled through. So they closed the wound. Could continue, took a couple shots again.
Yeah.
But then, went backstage. They had to pull the staples out. The worst part was the iodine they put in, right?
Yeah.
And then they stapled it through, and 12 staples, and the 12th staple was the painfulest of them all because the last one, boom. Yep.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Gnarly. Thank you for sharing these stories, the Hatebreed, the scars, the growing up and watching Bret Hart versus Yokozuna. It's great to have you here, man, and we hope that this isn't the only time we have you at Defy, man. Good luck tonight. And again, thank you very much, man. Axel Tischer here on the Defiant Ones.